that's all your human, flawed ego, personal ego, will, mind that wants you to fail. That just, it's not coming from God mind or universal mind, if you will. And all you have to do, it's going to sound simple at first, but as most of you out there know, it's not so simple, is just ignore those thoughts or go into meditation. I so recommend mystical or contact meditation, which I teach because I've learned it through Dr. Masters, and just meditating regularly will start to clear away those hindrances. Not necessarily, obviously, at first. We're talking many, many lifetimes of gathering mistaken thoughts about ourselves and who we really are. So meditation surely is the key, mystical meditation or contact meditation, stilling your mind. And I'm not necessarily talking about those Western, what I call Western, guided meditations, and the person is yakking. And really it's a form of hypnosis, self-hypnosis, and that's fine too, because there's a place to heal your mind and your heart and your soul through hypnosis. But you really want to be able to just sit without any distractions, outer distractions, if you will, and go inward. And what you're going to do at first is you're going to feel uncomfortable a few times. This is right out of my book. You'll feel uncomfortable about 4 times. So you might fidget after a minute or 3 minutes and go, no, I don't think so. And then you'll take a breath, hopefully, and then you'll go in deeper. Each time you're entering into one of the various levels of your mind. So, of course, if those issues haven't been cleared out, you're going to feel a bit uncomfortable, and you're going to think, oh, I can't meditate, which, again, isn't true. If you can sit and count to 10 with your eyes opened or closed, you can meditate, and that's just the beginning. So meditation as a means of getting out of your own way is a fantastic way of starting to heal yourself, your self-doubts, etc. In answer, and you see I'm taking forever to answer your question, the answer is simply just do it. And if you're passionate enough, and boy, I know you and many other people know about passion. If you're excited and passionate enough about what you really want to do, let's say you want to sing professionally. Well, don't put all this pressure on yourself and and go, well, if I'm not on stage singing professionally in 3 months or a year, I'm no good. Just start doing it. Just start singing for local clubs. Just follow your passion. That's what I did with magic. I don't profess to be the world's greatest illusionist, but I was certainly the most successful commercial illusionist in the 80s and 90s out east, simply because I loved what I did, and I just jumped right into it naively, if you will, not knowing really what I've gotten myself into. And that's another key, clearing yourself and getting out of your own way, but being like a child again, and the child that believes that everything and anything is possible. And again, meditation helps. Remember how you were as a child, and basically you wanted a ball, or you wanted to roll a little ball, you did. Nothing was to stop you. You wanted to walk, you walked. It's the same thing in this lifetime. Whatever we are meant to do, it's done already in the mind of God or the mind of the universe. We're already successful at it. And nothing can stop you from God's plans. No human being, none of your insecurities can stop you from living your soul's purpose. And you'll know that you're living your soul's purpose if you're just plain happy. If you're happy with your daily activities mostly and what you're doing in your life, fantastic. If you're driven and there's this little itch in you that says, oh, but I'd really like to do this or I'd really like to do that, do it. Jump in. If it's meant to be, again, you're already successful, if you will. You're already sharing it. And success doesn't necessarily mean you're sharing it for hundreds or thousands or millions of people either. Maybe only a certain amount of people are supposed to be exposed to what you have to give them too. So we mustn't measure success or failure from an ego-mind perspective, a personal ego-mind. We can't set these limitations for ourselves and say, okay, I've never been on TV, I'm no good, I'm not good enough, or so I've got this dinky show or this dinky a radio show which is only heard. You don't know. You don't know how many thousands of people, or even which one, even if you change the life of one person. Wow, how amazing is that? So we mustn't self-defeat, if you will. We mustn't set these unrealistic goals, and by unrealistic, I don't mean wanting to play Carnegie Hall next week, but I mean unrealistic in that setting limits for ourselves, because there are no limits in this lifetime. Whatever we believe, we start to live, and that's getting into the law of attraction and the spiritual laws of the universe, which is another book of mine, is the magnetic law of attraction. Vibrationally, whatever thought or feeling that we resonate to, if we start to believe it, it starts to become so. So why not start to feel like you are the infinite possibilities? Because that's the reality in this lifetime. It's so funny. It's like we're writing our own book of life. And do we want to write one with great happenstance, great unlimited excitement that we're sharing with other people, or do we just want to sit curled up in a corner and suck our thumb and kind of go, I can't do that because, and it's like, as a therapist, I don't have patience for people like that, and I won't see people like that. I know really to do God's work, one must see everybody, but there's another therapist for that kind of person. I'm the kind of therapist, I'm the kind of person, if you are ready to be all that you can be in unlimited fashion, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. And you wanted me to segue into the Transcendence book, I gather. I felt...
I do. But you know, I think that came, I'm not exactly sure of the order you put everything out, but you did bring out an interesting title, Scientific Prayer, which most people want to put together science and prayer. And you brought about a couple of great points, so much that I'm kind of trying to put a spotlight or a magnifying glass on a couple of the gems of what you said, Michael. You brought up something that is so true, and I did indeed study Zen. Going back to meditation, maybe we can talk a little about the difference between meditation and prayer. Meditation for so many is just listening to a guided, as you say, almost hypnotherapy, which is fine, especially if maybe you're not feeling 100% or you need it at that time, or you need some positive words coming to you. But I found in Zen and in meditating in some of the Buddhist fashions that indeed what you said is just sitting with it and really just being still and going within in the silence and connecting with yourself. You will find so much there, so many answers, so much that you need to clear out, because when you sit, and I've in the past have sat for days, when you sit, everything comes out. If you sit long enough and quiet enough, it will all come out. And Buddha, of course, went through that till he reached enlightenment. And it takes a lot of perseverance, but as has been said, perseverance furthers. And so that is, at some point in everyone's spiritual path, I do recommend that. But there is a misunderstanding in a lot of people's minds, I think, about the difference of prayer, scientific prayer, as you call it, and meditation. Can you kind of go into that a little bit?
Absolutely. Meditation, and I'm going to say it from an Eastern perspective very briefly, because I'm aware of the time as well here. From an Eastern perspective is going inward, contacting the divine, and if you will, sussing up all that is, all your issues. So when one sits in silent meditation, and there's the nothingness, or the no-thingness, which is the answer, really. No-thingness. What is the sound of one hand clapping? No-thing, nothing. In any case, thoughts, ideas, things are going to come up. They're going to come to the surface. And many people ascribe to the idea, well, just let it go. Just let it go and go in again, go deeper. I like to note these things a little bit. You don't even have to physically write down things, although you can, in case you're worried you're going to forget it, because you're still in meditative state anyway, even when you look away and you write for a bit. So you can notate, you can make note of the things that come to you during meditation take a breath, and then go back, go deeper, if you will, because there's nothing more pleasurable than being in that peace and that joy that you find at the center. With Western meditation, it's more a superficial thing, but I believe it has some benefits if one goes deeper, and your surface mind is kind of healed, but going to the center, or God mind, the very center and nucleus of your own mind, there's nothing like it. Because then once you've contacted God, and you may not even know it, there may not be, if you will, symptoms. Many times a person can just meditate and meditate deep enough, and in essence long enough, that they begin to see light. But again, like Dr. Master says, you're probably at first seeing your own light, your own aura, your own energy field, if you will. Take time, be patient, go deeper, and then eventually you will experience the light of God, or the light of the infinite, if you will. But the goal shouldn't be to have experiences necessarily, but just to accept while you're meditating what that is. Mm-hmm. That's not prayer. And in Judeo-Christian terms, they interlap, if you will, prayer with meditation. They say, prayer is meditation. And perhaps in Judeo-Christian beliefs and practices, that's true. Perhaps people will put themselves into altered state and pray. But they pray in a way, and now we're going to get into the differences between scientific affirmative prayer and prayer. They'll ask for stuff. They'll plead for stuff. They'll go, please, God, give me this, give me that. And that's fine. I found in the past it worked for me, but I found it only worked for me before I studied scientific or affirmative prayer, simply because I knew already inside that my prayers were answered. So that was the beginning. And when I studied affirmative or scientific prayer through Dr. Master's University of Metaphysics or University of Sedona, I tapped into the greatest power that is, which is God. And what you do, and I'm going to give a very brief primer and difference on this. The term scientific prayer was coined by Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind. And Science of Mind, I believe, yes. And so the idea is there's methodologies behind the madness, if you will. There's techniques, just as in science, that will take you to I'll prejudiciously say authentically pray, and that means getting results. And generally, just generalizing, I believe it's South American indigenous people, but I could be wrong. Someone will correct me on that out there, hopefully. When they pray for rain, they feel the rain. They imagine they're standing out in a field or wherever they're standing out, and they could feel the water on them already as if it's happening or as if it's happened. That, in essence, is like scientific or affirmative prayer, although all my books about that, and there are a few that I've written, give you the steps. And there's many steps, too. I love that Dr. Masters has simplified into 3 or 4 steps the methodologies behind scientific or affirmative prayer, which are exactly the same thing. But in essence, you're experiencing it, you're believing that it has occurred, you trust that God has given it to you already before you have it. And that's the core basic thing of it, versus, please, God, give me that. Feel the difference in energy between, please, please, God, I beseech thee, give me this, versus, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful for the prosperity, for the abundance, for the great love that I have in my life, for the abilities that I have, the gifts to share with others. How powerful is that versus the other kind? So I highly recommend that. But here's another difference, a subtle difference. In commercial New Thought, and there are a lot of famous people out there, which I won't name, who say, all you have to do is go, let's see, I have to try to simplify this in my own mind. God is good and I am grateful. Well, that's great. That's good. Or saying life is good and I'm grateful. That's great, but it's not going to have any effect. You must put yourself in slightly altered state so that you open up your mind to the divine, and then your prayer or whatever it is you're saying will go deeper into the various levels of your mind and take hold. If you're just going around saying these affirmations, if you will, it's not affirmative prayer. It's not scientific prayer. It's just, at the least, harmless stuff you're saying. You're saying positive stuff, and it's nice to